It was hard to choose just one of my favorites. Some of them, I do have two of them, and on top of that, they're all powerful builds. I mean, if they're my favorite class to use, they're gonna be powerful. I mean, at this point, I mean, I'm hunter rank, what, 338? So, I mean, half of my hunter rank ago, I put a video out about how I had every single decoration in the game, and so you can only imagine how many duplicates I have at this point. Now, let's get this party started with the hammer. Now, my favorite build for the hammer, I dubbed it the Devil Will Cry. Now, it has nothing to do with the Dante DLC armor, but how the actual armor is built itself is I have the Diablo Shatter 2, of course, the strongest hammer in the game with health regain and 1 affinity increase augment, the Nergigante Helm A, the Kushala Chest B, giving me my 2 levels of handicraft, Nergigante Van Braces, Nergigante Coil, giving me the Nergigante ability to where if I hit the monster enough times, I'll heal on top of hitting him, or healing with every hit I bestow upon the monster. My Dust Stench heals, which will give me my other 2 levels of handicraft, giving me 4, putting my Diablos weapon into white sharpness. My Exploiter Charm to give me 2 levels of weakness exploit because they don't have a 3rd level. And to continue right along, let's look at the decorations I have. I have my Elementalist Jewel 2 to further boost my DPS. For this non-elemental weapon, my attack boost level 1, which should put me up to level 4, giving me my plus 5% affinity upon getting plus 12 attack. My Tenderizer to fill in the slot to get me up to 50% affinity increase, hitting the weak areas, my 3 vitality decorations, and my sharp jewel to keep my white sharpness as long as possible. Now, the actual equipment information is as stated, the Nergigante Hunger, which will let me regenerate health if I hit a monster enough times, my attack boost level 4, handicraft 4, health boost 3, getting me my full health, weakness exploit 3, agitator 2, because think about it, at some point the monster is going to get enraged at you, so why not have extra attack and extra affinity? Nice to have. 2 levels of maximum might, which will offset my horrendously negative affinity, having a Diablos weapon, protected polish, and non-elemental boost. Now, this hammer, after I hit right trigger and circle, will give me 1,560 damage and 470 defense without any buffs, and plus 10 affinity. So if I didn't have the affinity booster, I would be at 0%, but having the weakness exploit level 3, whenever I do hit a monster, I crit half the time with this tremendously powerful hammer. Okay, next on the list, let's cover Longsword. Now, my favorite Longsword class is it's a tie between Samurai Soul and Hanzo Sword. Now, first off, let's go with the Samurai Soul. Now, how I have that allocated is for the headpiece, I have the Dragon King Eye Patch, of course, giving my 2 levels of weakness exploit, Valhazak Mail, giving me my 2 levels of recovery speed, my Valhazak braces, giving me my peak performance, and 3 single decoration slots where I put all my vitalities to get it up to max, and my Valhazak coil, which will give me my 3rd piece of Valhazak, giving me my perpetually healing ability from Valhazak, which will keep healing until I get to full health. And of course the Nergigante Greaves, which will help me with my maximum might, which will help me with my affinity when my stamina is full. Now the actual decorations in itself, Elementalist Jewel, since I went with the Arena sword, which is really nice. You'll see a lot of people with Divine Slash. 0% affinity. It's a non-elemental weapon, or you have to awaken the element, but in the meantime, it'll still get the nice Elementalist decoration boost. And continuing right along, the Sharp Jewel to keep my white sharpness as long as possible. 3 slots of Resistor Jewels, that way, you know, Elemental Blights will not affect me at all, especially being on fire. My final recovery jewel, which will get me to level 3, quadrupling the speed at which I heal, and instead of recoverable damage, it's any damage until my health bar is completely healed. Of course, my 3 vitalities, which will be very common in all my builds. And finally, the critical jewel, because I will be critting a whole lot. Now, the actual build itself, the skills I should say, are the Valhazak Vitality. As stated, will keep healing until I'm completely healed. Health boost 3, recovery speed 3, which will help that process out tremendously. Blight resistance 3, and as stated, since they're 3 single slots, they're interchangeable with whatever fits your playstyle. But I personally like not being paralyzed or, have any of my water ice blight mess with my stamina, dragon blight, which messes up my weapon, I believe, and of course being on fire, which is the most common one. Now, with 3 levels of handicraft, I should be in white tier sharpness with this weapon, weakness exploit 2, which will give me a third of my attacks will crit. Well, more than a third, since or 40% of my attacks will crit. Giving me, that, since I already have 10% affinity. Peak performance level 2, which will give me plus 10 attack. And, you're going to be at, maximum health the mass majority of the time, because this has a health regain augment on top of the weapon, plus all the things that could actually heal it. You're going to spend a lot of time utilizing peak performance. Critical boost to further boost my DPS whenever I crit, my 1 level maximum might, protective polish to keep my white sharpness as long as possible, and a non-elemental boost. Now, this is the class I usually use when I go against squishy monsters, but if I go against a monster that's got a little bit more ass to her, that actually has a lot of hard parts on the monster, I use Hanzo's sword. Now, as you know, Hanzo steel is the best steel. It will cut through anything, so you could already guess what decoration I have equipped for this. The Mind's Eye decoration, spoiler alert. But in the meantime, the actual equipment I have is a Dragon King eye patch for the head, Nergigante mail. I went the Nergigante route instead of the Valhazak route, so I could do more damage. The Xenojiva claws, which give me 1 level of flinch free and 1 level critical boost. Excellent, but unfortunately it only gives me 1 small decoration slot, but it's a decent trade-off for the flinch free and critical boost, since those are phenomenal abilities. Now, for the waist, I have the Nergigante coil, giving me an attack boost plus 2, and for the legs, I have the Nergigante greaves, giving you a single level maximum might and a medium-sized decoration slot. Now, for the actual decorations, I have my Elementalist Jewel, of course, my Sharp Jewel to keep my white sharpness as long as possible, and the big change is the Mind's Eye decoration, which will let me just cut through anything like a hot knife through butter, particularly lava fish, my arch nemesis, and I'm sure that y'all feel me on that, especially if he's tempered. He shoots out these little fireballs which have a crazy radius, and it has me cussing the game out more times than not. Now, also my final level of Tenderizer to complement my Dragon King eye patch to get me up to 50% affinity when hitting weak spots. Now, as stated, I have the Nergigante Hunger, so every time I hit the monster, I'll heal from the health regain on the sword as it is, but if I combo the monster with enough hits, I heal even more. On top of that, I have the health boost level 3, weakness exploit 3, handicraft 3 to get me white sharpness, and with this I crit 60% of the time, with a weakness exploit 50, plus an extra 10, so it's 60%, a little extra attack, stamina surge, because why not? A little extra stamina speed is nice, critical boost, as stated, because I'm critting 60% of the time anyway, so why not extra DPS? My maximum might and flinch free, very nice to have, especially if, you get a lot of people hitting the monster, it's good to not get shook back, or to get tripped or to fall over. It's nice. That drives me crazy. When everybody's trying to hit the same spot and somebody hits you and knocks you over, I absolutely hate that. That drives me up the wall, but with 1 level flinch free, you can negate that. And protective polish to keep the white sharpness as long as possible, and non-elemental boost to boost the attack of the weapon to 832 with 465 defense. Also keep in mind, all these classes I will show you will be fully augmented, so you can see the full maximum potential of the class. Next we have Lance. Now for the Lance, I have another tie between 2 different types of lances. My first one is called God Guard. Now for this one, the way I have it equipped, I have the Perdition's Hand. And as far as my lance goes, because it's a cool looking lance. I mean, you use Nergigante's face as a shield. I mean, how cool can that be? And on top of that, Dragon King Eye Patch for my 2 levels weakness exploit, Valhazak Mail, Valhazak Braces, Valhazak Quill, similar to the Samurai Soul class with the longsword, you know, that way I perpetually have healing, and the Uragan Greaves, which will give me 2 levels of guard. Now, whenever you do this, you want at least 3 levels of guard. Why? Because let me show you. At level 1 and 2, it only slightly decreases the impact, but at 3, it greatly increases the impact. And if you get up to level 5, it's just overkill. Not only does the lance have the strongest shield in the game, but if you could get up to at least level 3, you could stand against anything. And in my Paladin video, I had it only up to level 3, and whenever Tempered Teostra did his Nuclear Blast, it did like a laughable amount of damage, like next to nothing. But if I were to get up to 5, it would probably hardly do any damage at all, if it would do damage at all. So, continuing right along, let's see, also I have the Ironside Charm, so 3 plus the 2 would be 5, so like I said, this is an overkill class. It's got guard 5 with the strongest shield in the game, plus I have a shield jewel on top of that to complement it. Did I go over the decorations? Let me just do that just in case again. Fortitude, very interchangeable since you hardly will ever get carded. This is an older build, as you can see. My shield decoration makes me block against unblockable attacks, 2 levels of defense. So the 2 defense and the fortitude is interchangeable, however you would like to do that. Maybe even put some resistor jewels in. That way, you know, if you'll be negated towards fire. That way you don't have to put your lance away, which is one of the slowest weapons to put away, that and the heavy bowgun, to be able to roll 3 times. So that's also an option. But also my 3 vitalities, more defense, as you see, to get it at least level 4. So I have a +3 resistance to all elemental damage, and my recovery jewel to help my Valhazak heal even further. Now, the actual build itself, or the equipped skills, the Valhazak level 3, guard 5. So this, I could withstand anything, and then some. Defense boost level 4. This is more of a support class and a defensive class, as you see. Health boost 3, recovery speed 3, which quadruples the speed at which I heal. So literally, if I'm ever in a pinch, I never put my shield away. Like, I would just hide behind my shield. As long as I'm facing the monster, they cannot do enough damage to me in comparison to actually healing. Like, no matter what, I will be eventually fully healed. Not only that, but I have the regain augment. You'll see that very common on most of my melee classes. So every time I actually stab the monster, I will also heal. Weakness exploit level 2, giving me my 30% affinity against weaker spots. Peak performance, which you will use more times than you won't, because, I mean, come on. Strongest shield in the game, guard 5, shield jewel. All you have to do is hide behind your shield and you'll be eventually full health. And of course my guard up from my shield jewel. Now this was a tie. This is my more defensive build when it comes to lance, but if I wanted to go more DPS, then I go with the Dark Paladin class. Now this is my Paladin build that I actually put a video out on. This is the one I want to do if I want to actually do a little bit more damage. Now as you see, my Elder Babel Spear also has health regain on it. And on top of that, I have my Dragon King Eye Patch, my 3 levels of Val, and instead of the Uragan Greaves, I have the Death Stench Heal to push my blue sharpness as far as possible, since I can't obtain a white sharpness with this weapon, unfortunately. And moving right along, the actual decorations I have for it are the Elementalist Jewel to push the Elder Babel Spear, my Shield Jewel, a Protection Jewel, or multiple Protection Jewels, my 3 Resistor Jewels 3 vitality jewels, and my final recovery jewel to get me up to level 3, which would quadruple my ability to heal. Now, see, Valhazak Vitality, recovery speed 3, blight resistance 3, guard 3 instead of 5. That's one of the bigger differences. But with a stronger shield in the game, greatly decreasing the impact of attack, I mean, that's all you need. I mean, against Teostra, I was still utilizing peak performance the vast majority of the time because he couldn't put enough damage on me to actually... Actually, if you watch that video, you'll notice I don't even pop a single potion that whole time. I mean, that's how useful this class is. It's ridiculous. You're retardedly strong. And, of course, my 2 levels of Divine Blessing give me a 30% damage reduction whenever that kicks in, guard up, and non-elemental boost. Alrighty, moving right along. The next weapon I have on my list of 14 weapons is the Duel Blades. A lot of people love their Duel Blades, and this is another set where I have 2 favorite ones. Now, my first one is called Bone Thugs. Now, this is just strictly DPS, you know, with the strongest Duel Blade set in the game. Now, as you see, I have white sharpness, so I have my 4 levels of handicraft, but also, okay, Dragon King Eye Patch, Dober Mail, Xeno'jiiva Claws, as you remember, 1 level of flinch free, 1 level of crit boost, because I'm tired of people knocking me over whenever we're trying to spam the monster as far as damage goes, and we're trying to, you know, not give each other room, especially if I'm playing with randoms that don't listen. My Nergigante Coil gave me +2 attack, and my Death Bench heals to give me an extra 2 levels of handicraft. Now, the actual abilities that this class entails are, I got handicraft all the way to 5 because I get 3 from my charm and 2 from my legs. Attack boost level 4, which is a minimum to give me my +5 affinity, always good to have with Devil Joe or Diablo's weapons. Health boost 3, weakness exploit 3, critical boost because you will be critting at least half the time, 55% of the time to be exact. Flinch free, Mind's Eye Ballistics, because I am not a fan of bouncing all over the place when I hit a hard part of the monster. Protective Polish to keep my white sharpness as long as possible, and non-elemental boost. Now, this is just straight up damage, you guys. If that were the case, that is the Duel Blade set that I like to use. But if I want to go the elemental damage portion of it, I use Hurricane Vice, Fire and Ice, and apparently I didn't have enough room to fit the whole thing. And the actual build itself consists of the Kushala Glare, which will give me 2 levels of ice attack and 3 single slots. Wonderful to have, especially with ice weapons, where I put my 3 vitality jewels. See the 3 green ones? I bet you money they're vitality jewels. My Dober Mail giving me +2 attack. Xeno'jiiva Claws, as stated, give 1 flinch free, 1 critical boost. My Kushala Cocoon, which will give me another 2 ice attack with 2 single slots. And my Kushala Crush, which will give me my Evade Extender level 2 and a giant decoration slot. Now with that, I also utilize the negation of all wind pressure, since I have 3 parts of Kushala Daora equipment. Also, I have health regen on the weapon as usual. Now you see I have the negation of all wind pressure, ice attack level 4, which actually maxes it out at 310, handicraft level 4, which is the minimum for actually, I could have toned it down a little bit, you know, since it's not a Diablo's weapon, but it's still nice to have as much handicraft as possible to keep your weapon as sharp as possible. Of course, health boost 3, no surprise there. Blast attack 3 from my 3 blast attack decorations, which are rarity 7. My attack boost level 2, weakness exploit 2 instead of 3, evade extender 2 from the legs, critical boost because you will be critting a whole lot, and flinch free. And look over to the side, 281 damage, which is pretty good for a dual blade, but look at the elements, completely maxed out on ice, and as far as I could push the blast. So 310 ice, 300 blast, you will have a blast, pun intended, with this class. relatively easy to build minus the blast decorations, and it's a whole lot of fun to use. Now, moving right along, the next weapon we have on the list are the heavy bowgun and the light bowgun. Actually, let's start off with the light bowgun. Now, it's another tie between two of them. I call this one U.S. Marine Corps because, I mean, with this one, they're going to both be Tolvi Karath weapons. Now, the weapon I have equipped for this one is the Tarath Blitz Shot. Now, for the helmet, I have the Nergigante Helm A, the Dobermail B, Xenojiva Claws, Nergigante Coil, and Dober Greaves, which Dober Greaves and Dobermail give me my plus 4 attack right there. The Nergigante Helm A will give me an extra attack, so that should be 5. And I'm sure I have a decoration to push it as far as possible. But what I love about this one specifically is you can put an Elementalist Jewel to further boost the attacks. And on top of that, normal ammo 1 and normal ammo 2 is set to 3-round burst. Look at this. 31, 37, and that seems to be the average. And it reloads, and 74 on that first one. 74, 37, 37. Beautiful weapon. A lot of fun to use. And it's got Pierce, level 2, and level 1, level 2. Your armor ammo, your demon ammo to help your people with attack and defense. It's got exhaust 1 and 2 to exhaust the monster. And it's just an all-around fun weapon to play with. Now, the skill set I have for this class: attack boost 7, boosting it as far as possible, health boost 3, weakness exploit 3, maximum might 2, because it starts off as a negative 10% affinity weapon, which is nothing. That's so easy to get rid of. Normal shots, because since it has the 3-round burst for the normal shot 1, normal shot 2, this would definitely help out. Critical boost, because you will crit more times than you won't. Flinch free, and of course non-elemental boost. And look, it's a light bowgun with all that and 355 attack. That is, and 483 defense. That's amazing. So much fun to play with this class. I use it a lot, but if I want to be a support player and still use a light bowgun, I usually go with a Tarath Blitz Pierce. Now, that is another Colby Tarath weapon, but it has a little bit less damage, but at the same time, you can paralyze and put the monster to sleep, on top of having lightning damage in 3-round burst and normal shot on 3-round burst. Now, the build is almost identical on the right side as far as the equipment goes, but on top of that, well, the only change I have is instead of the Dobermail for the chest, I have the Kaiser Mail, which will give me special ammo boost level 2, which increases the power of bowgun special ammo. And since it has a lot of special ammo compared to the other bowgun I just had, it'll come in a lot handier. See, it has Recover 2, 1 and 2, which is nice. You could poison the monster. And here's something interesting. The Thunder ammo. You know, it's got 3-round burst for that. How many monsters are weak to thunder? I mean, besides dragon, it's the second most utilized element out there. That nice, you know, because they got so many monsters that are weak to it. I have Pierce level 3. I mean, come on, the gun's name is Pierce, so of course. Sticky ammo, paralysis ammo, slicing ammo, and it's got 3 rounds of dragon ammo, where you could dish out a lot of damage. Of course, my normal ammo level 2. Doesn't do quite as much as my other weapon, but I mean, it has a lot more versatility behind it. So this is the one I go to if I'm running with a team and say Colby Tarath needs to get paralyzed or put to sleep quickly. This is the class I would use. Now, as far as heavy bowgun goes, I only have one entry for that. I mean, I have multiple ones, but this is the one I like using. I dubbed it GoldenEye, like the James Bond Goldeneye movie with Pierce Brosnan. I believe it was in the 90s. And I used the Teroth Assault Blast heavy bowgun. Now, you see the build is actually similar to that first light bowgun class I showed you. And on top of that, the actual abilities that this one has is pretty heavy on shotgun. It's got cluster bomb level 3 and 3 shots of that, which is amazing. I love that fact. Bop. Bop. And I just love that thing. And if you watch Team Darkside, you see 4 people using Cluster Bomb Level 3 and literally wrecking Tempered, or I don't know if it's Tempered or not, but it's definitely a Nerf Gigante in about a minute and some change. And of course, it's got Spread Ammo Level 3, so you can constantly be putting down nice amounts of damage. On top of that, it's got Paralysis Ammo, Pierce 2, Werven ammo, which is nice to have, but mainly it does really good damage when it comes to high explosive damage and spread ammo. So, keep bearing all that in mind. The way I have it decorated is I have my 4-shot for my regular ammo, I have my spread shot for my shotgun ammo, 3 levels of vitality, and a tenderizer to help with the actual weakness exploit, getting my crits out more often times than not. Okay, and as stated, just like the USMC build with my light bowgun, I have attack boost 7, weakness exploit 3, normal shots 1, spread shot decoration, critical boost, and flinch free. Now, I think I showed you all the decorations already, but if I didn't, then there they are. Alrighty, you guys. I apologize if I am trying to run through this a little bit quicker than usual. It's just I have 14 weapons I need to cover, and some I have a tie between the weapons, so I'm covering at least I want to say close to 20 weapons, or 20 different classes, I should say. Okay, that was light bowgun and heavy bowgun. My next weapon I am going to cover is the bow itself. Now, I have a lot of different types of bows that I like to use, but my guilty pleasure bow is called Gilgamesh. Especially if you've seen the anime Fate Zero, Gilgamesh is the archer class in that, and he is a beast. Now, for this Tolvi Korath weapon, the Teroth Arrow Blast, it does a crazy amount of blast. Originally, it does 240 damage and 360 blast, and the only thing it's lacking is power, the power coatings, but it gives you plus 30 defense and a huge decoration slot. Now, I boosted that 360 with 3 blast decorations to get it all the way to 440 as opposed to what it was, and the actual decorations I have equipped on it are, actually, let's start off with the armor set. Now, for the armor set, I have the Colby Teroth Fury, which will give me free element up and a level of agitator, the Kaiser Mail, which will give me my special ammo boost, which will give me 20% extra damage on my Dragon Piercer, my Kaiser Van Braces, which will give me a small slot, 2 levels of weakness exploit, my Basil Coil, which will give me earplugs level 2, coupled with my earplugs charm, which will give me an extra 3, so level 5 earplugs. I'm automatically deaf to monster roars, and of course my Kieran leg guards, which will give me my final 2 levels of free element up. Now, moving right along to the actual decorations, I have my critical jewel, because, you know, I'm going to be critting a lot with this build, obviously. My tenderizer jewel to fill in the gap. I have my 3 blast jewels to push my blast damage as much as possible. Because think about it, I mean, it does a crazy amount of blast to begin with, plus it has blast coatings Now, come on, that monster is going to be lit up like a Christmas tree as many times as you hit it with blast. It's awesome. It's just such a fun class to play with. On top of that, my 3 vitalities, and of course, Mighty Bow. What is a bow class without Mighty Bow? I mean, you gotta have it, you know? Absolutely. Now, the actual equipment information for this weapon, I have earplugs level 5, making me immune to monster roars of any type, as stated. Health boost 3, big surprise there. Blast attack level 3, giving me plus 20% buildup and plus 10% on the attack end. Free element ammo 3, giving me as much blast as possible, moving it up to 440, which is nice. Really nice, actually. Weakness X.3, special ammo boost 2. Critical boost 1, agitator, and bow charge plus from my mighty bow. Now, I could be, and 489 attack. It's a great class, you know, heavy on survivability on top of that. Now, I could have done a crit draw bow build, but I feel like everybody's got that. Plus, I'm showing you my personal favorite classes. And plus, on top of that, they're fun classes, you know, on top of having extraordinarily destructive properties and just having a blast. Literally and figuratively, I guess you would say. Okay, next on the agenda, I have Greatsword. Now, I have a lot of Greatswords that I like, but the one I am going to choose is the Fast Charge Devil. It says Devi because I didn't have the space for it, and I'm using Anguish, the Devil Joe Greatsword, because I just like the way it looks, you know, and it does really good damage, accompanied with Dragon and High Elder Seal. All that accompanied with my Dragon King eye patch, my Damascus Mail, which will give me 3 single slots and a level 2 focus, I believe. Yep. My Diablos Nero hands, which will give me my final 3rd level focus, 1 medium and 1 small decoration slot. My Xenojiva Spine, which will give me Blight Resist level 2 with another medium and small decoration slot, even though it's gaudy as hell. God, it's like a luminescent turncoat. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. But I usually bushi over it, so I make it just disappear. But it does have a nice ability. On top of that, I have my Nergigante Greaves for 1 level maximum might and a medium-sized slot decoration to help me with the horrendously negative affinity that comes with any Devil Joe weapon. Now, the actual decorations I have, Handicraft level 3, that way I get into white sharpness just with 1, that's all you need for Devil Joe weapons, of course my 3 vitalities, another maximum might, an attack decoration, tenderizer, and my final resistor, which will, accompanied with my Xenojiva Spine, give me my 3 levels of blight resistance. And of course my sharp decoration to keep my sharpness there for as long as possible. And as you see, I have it augmented 1 attack and 1 health regain, because if I do a true charge spinning slash, like, it heals just as much, if not more, than a mega potion. It's great to have if I connect with a weak spot. Now, the actual skills I have equipped, attack boost level 4, giving me my plus 5 affinity and 12 attack. Health boost level 3, again, my blight resistance level 3, making me immune to all elemental blights. Weakness exploit 3. Focus level 3, which is paramount, especially for the charge blade, or I said charge blade. Yeah, it's great for the charge blade, any charging weapon, but especially the great sword, because you want to get that final true charge slash out as fast as possible, because just landing that does more damage than the first 2 charge up builds in their entirety, you know, so you want to get that out as quick as possible. Half the time I don't even charge the first 2, I just swing, and charge for the 3rd one to get that one to actually connect. Plus it downs the time, you know, it takes to actually hit, and by then usually monsters that are very agile, especially Devil Joe, usually move out the way. I have my 1 level handicraft, getting me my white level sharpness, and my protective polish to keep that white level sharpness out as much as possible, accompanied with 1,258 attack, 240 elemental dragon, high elder seal, and 465 defense. All my armor will be at least 450 defense, the way I have them augmented. Next on the list, we have the Gun Lance. Now, let's see. Gun Lance. Okay, for the Gun Lance, My specific choice was the Gunlance God. And as you see, I have the Teroth Buster Sleep with it, and how I have this class built. Yet another Teroth weapon, Colby Teroth weapon, Dragon King Eye Patch, my 3 Valhazoks, and an Uragan Greaves, giving me my 2 levels of guard, accompanied with an Artillery Charm level 3, which will get me to my max level, which will give me plus 30% increased power of attack by 30%, reduces Warven's fire cooldown by 50%. And whenever I do my shelling attack, it'll automatically, boost the power by 30%. So it's great to have. So, moving right along, the decorations I have equipped. Elementalist Jewel decoration. Even if I were to wake it up, it would be really nice. Now, I could have put the poison version on, and it would do a little bit more damage, but it would be level 3 shelling, as opposed to level 4 with the sleep. Which, I mean, you can interchange them, but I find that the level 4 shelling accompanied with artillery level 3 actually does a little bit more damage if you spam that attack, so that's why I went with that. My shield jewel, which will help me guard against unblockable attacks. My iron wall jewel, so I have 2 Uragan guard levels with the Greaves, plus this iron wall jewel should get me up to level 3, which greatly decreases impact of attacks. And I explained that earlier in the video. My grinder decoration, because that take 1 cycle can actually make the difference, and more often than not it does whenever you're sharpening your weapon. 2 levels of defense, which are interchangeable with whatever you want, and a final level of recovery to complement my Valhazak, should quadrupling it. Now the equipped skills, I have Valhazak Vitality, as explained a few times earlier. Artillery level 3, recovery speed 3, health boost 3, as y'all know. Guard level 3, the bare minimum for it to be worth mentioning, and very, very functional, especially with a strong shield. Even with a weak shield, sword and shield. If you have guard level 3 to 5, with the shield jewel, you could block Nergigante's dive bombs, Valhazak's garbage breath, Teosha's nuclear bomb, no problem, and still have a whole lot of life to play around with. Okay, weakness exploit level 2, peak performance level 2, which you'll be using more times than not since it's a strong shield. 1 level speed sharpening, guard up from the shield jewel, and non-elemental boost. Now, if I were to awaken the element even, it's got 450 sleep, and then plus a few sleep attack jewels, it would be a nice build on top of that anyway. So there are a lot of options with this weapon. Okay, moving right along. The next weapon I have on my list as far as my favorite weapons I like to run with are the Insect Glaive. Now, for the Insect Glaive, where are you, Gunlance? Insect Glaive. I really don't use this very often, but when I do, I make it to Dos Equis. I'm being stupid, y'all. No, it's a class called the Fallen Angel. Now, the build itself consists of, I went with the Devil Joe one because it's got a nice little bit of raw power. I went with Basil Helm B, Xenojiva Hide, and the Basil Helm gives me a large deck slot and a small deck slot with 2 levels of earplugs. The Xenojiva Hide, which gives me 2 small deck slots. The Xenojiva Claws, as you already know, I went with the B version, which will just give me a huge decoration slot, helping me out with flinch free. Basil Quill give me another 2 layers of earplugs and a huge decoration slot. And the Xenojiva Spurs, which will give me a level of flinch free and power prolonger. All that being said, also I have the Exploiter level 2, which will help my weakness exploit. All of that combined, let's see what decorations I'm working with. Of course, my earplugs, because 2 from the helmet, 2 from the waist, and 1 from the decoration will give me level 5, so I'm immune to all monster roars, my 3 vitalities, another tenderizer, a handicraft, because you need one handicraft to get the Devil Joe weapons into white sharpness, as previously stated, and a grinder jewel, because as a glaive user, you will eat through or any sharpness as fast as you can sharpen. Like, it's so ridiculous how quickly you run through sharpness with the glaive and with the lance, surprisingly, especially if you do the Train of Pain attack with the lance. Now, with this, I have the Xenojiva Divinity, which will have my sharpness loss, which is excellent to have. Earplugs level 5, health boost level 3, weakness exploit level 3, power prolonger level 3, which will help me keep my charge up for 40% longer, which is nice to have. Flinch free level 2, because I hate getting knocked out of the air, and believe it or not, you actually can withstand certain attacks when you're in air, and it still won't mess you up. Now, you can use the airborne ability, which will, negate being knocked out of the air, but I find that it really doesn't work very well for me, especially against tempered monsters. Like, if Devil Joe swipes his tail and you're in midair action, the decoration lies. You still get knocked way the F out the way, so I stopped messing with that. Handicraft 1 and speed sharpening. And after it's all said and done, I have 475 defense and 729 attack, negative 15 affinity with 210 dragon and a high elder boost, but with weakness exploit level 3, I will have plus 35% chance to crit, so that's pretty good amount whenever I'm hitting weak parts of the monster. Now, next on the list, we have Sword and Shield. Now, I'm not really a fan. I used to not be a fan of Sword and Shield until Tolvi Karoth came out. Now, I actually enjoy it, and I actually have a tie between two different types of Sword and Shield. Both of them are obviously from Tolvi Karoth, as I talked about them. First one I want to talk about is a class called the Dragon Tamer that I've dubbed. Now, it's a Taroth Slicer, which originally it gives you 450 hidden dragon with low Elder Seal, a huge decoration slot, and plus 20 defense. But after it's been awakened, it's got 550 dragon with 232 attack. What? That is insane, as many things are allergic to dragon off the jump on top of that. Now, I could add 2 more decoration slots to completely max it out, but I just didn't have the room for it, because I would have to sacrifice certain other abilities, which I wasn't willing to do. Plus, we could all agree that 550 dragon attack is nice. I mean, whenever I hit something that's even got 1 or 2 stars against dragon to where they're allergic to it, I'm doing over 100 damage per hit. It's very nice to have. It's fucking amazing. I love it. Dragon King Eye Patch, Dover Mail to boost my attack. Valhazak Brace is giving me my peak performance in 3 single slots. Colby Taroth Malice, which will give me my another level of free element up and another handicraft, and of course my Kieran legs, giving me my final 2 levels of free element up. And what charm did I have? And I had the Ironside charm. That way, it'll get my shield up to level 3, and I'm sure I have a shield decoration. Yep, there it is, shield decoration. Plus another level of handicraft should get me in a white tier sharpness. My tenderizer jewel to complement my Dragon King Eye Patch, giving me my 50% resistance. I have 3 dragon jewels on top of that to try to push it as far as possible, while not sacrificing any kind of vitality or anything like that. And of course my sharp jewel to keep that white sharpness for as long as possible. Now, once again, look at, 550 dragon, and I could still go further with white sharpness and 260 attack, 487 defense. That is crazy, you guys, and it's a lot of fun to play with this class. Now, if I wanted to go the blast route, I went with a Taroth Slicer Blast. And the main differences between that class and this class, look, I still have all the same weapons and everything, and armor, I have the blast version of the weapon instead of the dragon, but the same armor. But instead, I went for brace. That way, if I'm hitting a monster with a group of people, I won't get shook. Phenomenal to have. I have my shield decoration alongside my Ironside charm, so I could survive, unblockable hits pretty well. I would seriously suggest trying it. I mean, you could barely. It's such a small shield too. It's so funny to see such a powerful attack getting played out by such a tiny shield. It's amazing. It's a lot of fun too. And on top of that, okay, as stated before, Tenderizer Jewel complementing for the third piece of the Dragon Eye Patch, giving me my 3 levels of weakness exploit, 3 Blast Jewels to push the blast damage as much as possible, 3 Vitality, and a Sharp Jewel to keep my White Sharpness as long as possible. And it's got a pretty hefty amount of White Sharpness to begin with. It's got a little bit more attack as well, 274 and 480 blast with 487 defense. Yeah, I think that I think I'll be able to survive, I believe I will. Just a fun little class to play with. I love this thing. Now, moving right along, you guys, to the Switch Axe. Now, y'all have probably seen my video before about how I covered the Hades build with my Switch Axe, and surprise, surprise, that's the one I am going to cover again, just for the people that haven't seen the video. Now, look at this. I mean, you look like a boss. You look like the Lord of the Underworld, especially with the helmet equipped. It looks perfect, down to the weapon. Everything is synchronized in color and everything. Not only that, it's functional. Now, for the actual equipment in itself, I'm going to cover this one quickly because as stated, I put a video out on this specific class under a segment of Gods and Monsters. My Nergigante Helm B, which will give me my 2 levels of maximum might, my Vangus Mail, which is Devil Joe, 1 speed eating, 1 handicraft, because 1 handicraft is all I need for Devil Joe weapons, my Valhazak braces, giving me my 3 single decoration slots and peak performance, my Death Stench Bows, giving me my extra 2 dragon attack, and I believe that'll max it out, and my Xenojiva Spurs, which will help with flinch free, letting me not get knocked back whenever I'm doing my sword or axe combination, and 2 single slots. Now, on top of that, I have my attack charm level 3 to further boost the damage, and look on the right, my dragon is completely maxed out. My affinity for a Devil Joe weapon is positive 20%. On top of everything else, I have attack boost level 4, giving me an extra 5% affinity, health boost, critical eye 3, which will give me plus 10% affinity, my 2 dragon attacks from my Death Stench Bow Waste, my speed sharpening, so 2 cycles and it's done, maximum might level 2, boosting my affinity by 20% when my stamina is completely full, 1 level handicraft, which is all I need, peak performance, my speed eating level 1, flinch free, and protective polish to keep my sharpness strong as much as possible, and I'm putting out 882 damage raw, not factoring in the 230 dragon with high elemental seal. Of course, I have the affinity boost and health regain, so it would only be plus 10% affinity, which is still nice for a Devil Joe weapon. I love this class. This thing is so much fun, and it actually got me hooked on Switch Axes. Like, I kept this class on and ran about 30 missions before I even changed this class, the first time I actually made it. Now, last but certainly not least, the last weapon class I am about to cover. Oh, I actually have 2 more. First, we're going to go with, let's do the Hunting Horn. Now, I dubbed this one Classic Rock because my guy looks like Prince, like from Purple Rain. Look at those ruffles, And the weapon I chose for this one, or the horn I chose for this one, was the Diablo's Horn, which is actually, there may be better ones out there, but I just like the tunes this one plays. It looks like an alligator mouth that's been chained shut. On top of that, the tunes that it could play, here, equipment info, let me show y'all. The tunes it can play are amazing here. Let's see. you have attack up L, health boost L, wind pressure negated, and defense up L. I mean, that's the trinity right there. Attack, defense, and health. That's awesome. I mean, like, that's pretty much all you need. And on top of that, you can negate wind pressure. I mean, you'll use that one a lot less than the other three, obviously, but it's a great weapon to have. And it being a Devil Joe weapon, it does wonderful damage, high Elder Seal, 240 Dragon, but it does have negative 30 affinity. Now, how did I negate that affinity? Since this is a blunt weapon, you can KTFO the monsters, and on top of that, the armor that I chose to use for it are the Dragon King eye patch, big surprise there, the Burgundy suit. Now, you will have to grind the arena a little bit for this. It'll give you 1 level of Divine Blessing, but it is the only armor that gives you 2 medium-sized slots. Excellent to have. Like, whenever you're building certain things, and a lot of great decorations are 2 slaughters, you know? That's a great choice to have whenever you need that extra, you know, medium decoration. Because sometimes even 1 small decoration or 1 medium decoration can be the difference of making an awesome class and just falling just short of it. So that's why I use the Burgundy suit for the 2 medium-sized decorations. My Val has arc braces, where as you see, 3 green decorations. My guess is Vitality. What do y'all think? Probably Vitality, huh? Yeah, definitely Vitality. My hideously ugly Xenojiva spine, giving me my 2 levels of blight resistance, medium and small decoration slot, and my Colby Turoth Wrath, which will give me 2 levels of wide range and a level of peak performance. Now, the decorations I chose for this class is the 1 level of handicraft, giving me white sharpness, my mighty jewel to help offset the affinity, Tenderizer to complement once again the Dragon King eye patch, giving me my 50% affinity when hitting soft spots, 3 vitalities, sharp to keep the white sharpness there as long as possible, the 1 resistor jewel along with the Xenojiva spine to give me my complete nullification of elemental blights, flawless jewel to add to my, how many do I have? I believe I have 3. I want to say 3 to help with my peak performance, and my friendship jewel, the 3rd one, which it goes from 33 to 66% efficiency when it comes to popping potions or just whatever to help my allies. So on top of giving them extra attack, defense, and healing them, every time I pop a potion, they get 66% of the actual, you know, healing process. Or if I pop a might, anything that's, you know, armor skin or demon drug related, they'll also benefit, you know, 2/3 of that ability as well. So great support class to have as far as Hunting Horn goes. Now my equipped skills, because of everything I have, will give me Health Boost 3, Blight Resistance, Nullification of all Blights, Weakness Exploit 3. So if I'm at 0% affinity right now, half of my attacks will crit with white sharpness. That's great to have if I want to go in the offensive. Peak performance level 3. Here we go. This is interesting because it jumps from 5 to 10, and if you get that last level, plus 20 attack. That's great to have. Wide range level 3, which jumps from, as stated earlier, 33 to 66% efficiency whenever I use any kind of item, and my maximum might level 3, which will give me the 0%. It goes from negative 30 to 0% affinity, which is great to have because that plus the weakness exploit, and I'm critting half the time I hit them usually. My 1 level of handicraft give me white sharpness, divine blessing from the Burgundy suit. Couldn't hurt, but you know, I mainly just needed the 2 medium-sized slots to make this whole build work, and of course the protective polish to keep my white sharpness there as long as possible. Now, the final weapon class I will cover is the Charge Blade, and that should be my final 14th different weapon, but of course you saw how I covered multiple in the same slot where I couldn't really choose, oh, do I want this class or do I want that class, where it was actually a tie between them. Now, as far as Charge Blade goes, I could just go down, oh my god, I could just go down the list, because that's one of my primary weapons is the Charge Blade. But for this one, I will go with the Tyrant class. Now, the Tyrant class is pretty much just my raw damage version of Charge Blade, and how I have it equipped is for the head, the Basil Helm, which, as y'all know by now, gives you 2 levels of earplugs, the Kushala chest, which will give me my 2 levels of handicraft, accompanied with the Basil Coil, which will give me 2 levels of earplugs. So with the head and the waist, that should give me 4, and that big white slot is probably another earplug slot, giving me my level 5 nullification while roars. I have my Basil Van Braces, which will give me critical draw, and if you think about it, when you pull your weapon out and you do your circle charge where you do your double slash, you get 2. If you land 2 of those, then you automatically built up all your flails. Plus, I needed a 3rd piece to get my Basil Guy's Protection, which will give me guts, which will help me survive attacks that would normally cart me within reason. Unless I'm on fire or poison, then I'm just fucked from the jump. So that, plus I have my Death Stench level 2, so 2 from the Death Stench and 2 from the chest piece, the Kushala Sista, will give me my white sharpness for this Diablos weapon. And look in the top left of my screen, you guys. You see those 2 arrows over my green bar? About, I want to say, a little bit over 3rd down. As long as I am past that, as far as health goes, and I get hit with a crazy strong attack, then I will survive that attack. And of course, I'm at 150 right now. If I eat a good meal, the health bar will extend, and those 2 arrows will stay right where they're at. So it's a good insurance policy. It's pretty much like Moxie, you know, or the feline skill Moxie. It's great to have, you know. And as far as the actual skill set itself, I have the Basil Guy's Protection. This is the one I was telling you about. Above a certain threshold, you can withstand attack that would normally cart you. Wonderful to have. I love this thing. My earplugs level 5, making me immune to all monster roars. Handicraft level 4, getting me my Diablos Blade into white sharpness. Health boost 3, of course, with every single class. I know you're getting tired of hearing the words health and boost. I know y'all are. My artillery level 3 charm from my let me rephrase that. My artillery level 3 skill from my artillery level 3 charm. That's how I should have said it in the first place. My critical draw, because, I mean, there are obviously better skills, but I needed that final piece of Basil Guys, you know, so there it is. And it's actually usable, so I can't be mad with it. Well, if it was something with, like, that had to do with bow guns or bows, oh god, I would be ashamed to even be trying to, you know, brag about this weapon. I have my capacity boost from my magazine jewel, which gives me my loading capacity +1. Now, with the math, I have 5 flails. Plus an extra 1, I have 6 flails, so that's plus 20% extra time for my sword or shield to be charged up, or plus 20% damage whenever I do an SAED, Super Amped Element Discharge attack. My Protective Polish to keep my white sharpness as long as possible, and my non-elemental boost because it is a Diablos weapon. Now, I'm putting down 965, but I'm at negative 20% affinity. Now, that's actually not terrible because your flails are unaffected by affinity, and you will never crit from using your flails. You know, on top of everything else, I have health regain and affinity increase. Now, if I could take it back, I would trade my affinity increase for an attack boost. Because realistically, I mean, it really doesn't matter what your affinity is, like I said, because whenever you just do 2 of these, you know, look, you're set. Boom. Okay, in the shield. You do that, a little hop, bop, bop, and look, you're ready. That's how quick you get your charge up, you know? And now for your SAD. See? Okay, I was doing about 80-ish. Nice little stutter step. Get my another charge. Let's try to hit that barrel way over there and see what it's looking like. Whoop, one behind it. Yeah, about 80 per hit. Not too bad. And that will always be unencumbered by defense. It ignores defense and everything else. But as stated, that should be the final weapon I covered. I covered all 14 weapons. The hammer, longsword, lance, dual blades, long, light bowgun, heavy bowgun, bow, greatsword, gun lance, insect glaive, charge blade, sword and shield, switch axe, and horn. And I covered at least one of my favorite variants of those classes. And now to add a little cherry on top, let me equip my Azure Star-Lord armor to end this segment. And I was about to say the segment of Gods and Monsters, but it really is just my birthday segment, so even though it's a day late, happy birthday to me. I'm an old person now. Great. I ran out of fun birthdays a long time ago, you guys. But if you stayed till the end of the video, thank you for your time. God bless you. Like and subscribe. Once again, this has been Ryan Quillen, also known as Medicine Man, and y'all have a wonderful day. I am out, you guys. Later.